Hey guys, welcome to my build video for front kiting veteran Asylum Sanctorium. This build has been created for this patch, for Dragonhold. It is using Zen and Martial Knowledge, and this particular setup that I'm using at the moment is for a group that is progging stam Immortal Redeemer, like with all stamina DPS. It's been pretty challenging and exciting so far. Yeah, it is just to note, like, some of the stuff is different to like a typical mag setup in this trial. So I'll go over what I'm using. So yeah, 5-piece Zens. I'm using a Resto staff only on 1 bar. It's charged. It's 5-piece, applies the touch. Light attacks apply the touch of Zen for 20 seconds. Each single target dot that you place on them, the enemy takes 1% more additional damage. So you've got to place dots on the boss in order to receive that extra 5%, so I'll go over in a moment what skills I'm using to proc that. And because it lasts 20 seconds, I really only need to have that on 1 bar. Like, you know, when I go over to my back bar, it still carries over. It's a really long buff. Status effects like burning and poisoned also count as a single target dot to proc Zen, so that's the reason for the charged restoration staff with the flame enchant. So that's there to proc that burning enchant. On my back bar, I'm using just a random lightning staff purely for the 2-piece bonus here, which is double stamina recovery. I've tried a few different things, and I've got a few like different staffs, like 1 Magicka recovery, 1 stamina recovery, one with like double Magicka recovery, and even like a Twilight staff that's got that Magicka recovery and minor Aegis. But what I keep coming back to that has just kept my stamina like really stable, like low and generally stable, not like completely depleted all the time, and not over, not over 50%. Like for martial knowledge, you've got to keep your stamina below 50% to be able to proc it. And just being able to, switch to my back bar for a little bit of time to let my stam like regen up, or just the natural flow of my rotation. I've just found that the 2-piece of stamina recovery just on that 1 bar just keeps it really nice and stable. Like, I don't have to worry about running out. I'm still fine-tuning stuff, still tweaking stuff, but this is like seems to be what's working best for me at the moment. So there's a couple of other sets that do that double stamina recovery. I think there's like Marksman. The other one's escaping me right now. Yeah, on this staff I run a poison glyph, and it's infused. To proc that poisoned status effect, which counts as a dot for Zen. Monster set I'm using is Symphony of Blades. Gives people an insane amount of regen. Through mutagen, occasional, breath of life. Mainly through mutagen, and when I drop my ritual out the front in where the DPS are when I go to blow my warhorn, this procs on them and helps keep their resources up. The other 5-piece I'm using is Martial Knowledge. As I was explaining before, you have to proc this set when your stamina is below 50% and your light attacks cause the enemy to take 8% additional damage for 5 seconds. It can occur once every 8 seconds. That's a massive buff. Like, you want to be able to like get that up, pretty much on cooldown, really. And yeah, making like building so that my stamina is like really stable, for my own survivability, and to keep all my stamina skills up is like really important. So even if you're not going full damage, you know, if you're in a progression group or whatever, you know, and you know, it might be easier for you to drop Zen, but like I would still, like, with the change to martial knowledge this patch, this is just so strong, and it's really not that difficult to use once you practice and sort of get the hang of it. It just sort of becomes like habit, but it's so strong. So strong to use. So yeah, that's the sets that I'm wearing. It's 5-piece light, 1 heavy, 1 medium for the Undaunted bonus. I run tri-stack glyphs on my big pieces. Everything is divines. I run the Steed Mundus for the speed bonus. While I'm front kiting, I need to move around extremely quickly to blow warhorns out the front, to get out of AoEs to avoid taking damage. I spend a lot of time roll dodging, like some people that are learning might do. I'm wasting a lot of global cooldowns on roll dodging instead of keeping up, you know, my buffs and all my dots for Zen and being able to heal people. It also costs a lot of stamina, like just to be able to, you know, move to the side quickly, or just to, you know, sprint, is actually like does a lot more for your survivability than, yeah, like roll dodging or any other kind of defensive setup or, you know, approach that you can take to front kiting. Like, speed is a massive survivability tool, as well as being really good for your resources. Like, if you are so fast, the lightning spits that you are kiting out there, you spend even one moment too long in those, they will drain all of your magicka and your stamina, and you will have nothing. So it's really important that front kiter builds are made around being able to generate their resources quickly. Yeah, and movement speed, in my opinion, is really important to be able to move out of AoEs quickly, be able to avoid, you know, steam breath if you're caught in a tight spot. If one of the minis enrages, you can, you know, move out of it quickly, all of that stuff. Like, movement speed is just the greatest tool that you could have. So yeah, all my pieces are divines, and I run Steed Mundus. The extra health recovery that you get from that's also a bit of a bonus, I guess, coupled with the, so I'm running, the Bewitched Sugar Skulls, so you get a little bit of health recovery from that, as well as from the Steed Mundus. So 15% movement speed bonus, health recovery. If you look at my character sheet, this is unbuffed, what my stats roughly look like. I've actually got more health recovery than stamina recovery. But yeah, this is on my front bar as well, so on my back bar I've got a little bit more stam recovery. Yeah, 26k max mag, 26k health, 17k stam, 15k mag recovery. It looks low, but it's really not. Like, I'm using rune focus as well, so I get passive regen from that, also from my pots. And, you know, a couple of the skills that I'm using are stamina skills, so I'm not actually doing a full rotation of mag skills either. You know, as long as I don't get spit on, my mag regen is actually, you know, beyond enough. But it's good to have that little bit extra, so that if you do, something does happen to you, either you've got to spend a lot of resources to stay alive or keep somebody else alive, or if you get spit on, you know, you've got a lot of regen there to, it's actually a lot of regen to recover from that and to keep going. Yeah, I'll keep going with my gear. That is all self-explanatory. And then on my jewelry, I run 3-piece Swift, 2 mag recovery, and 1 stamina recovery. Again, like, I've tried different combinations of these glyphs. and just found that 2 mag, 1 stam was what worked best to keep my stam at quite a stable, you know, level, hovering around sort of 50%. Yeah, play around with what works for you. I was running only 2-piece Swift until recently, but I found that just occasionally I would get caught up either bar swapping or, you know, just doing my rotation out of, like, while kiting at the same time, and sometimes still just getting stuck in the spit just for like a moment too long, and all of my resources would be drained and I'd be unable to continue part of my rotation for the moment. So I've opted to go a full 3-piece Swift just to try to prevent that from happening in the future. So yeah, again, just being faster, keeping more resources that way, wasting less time, helping the group doing more damage, and doing damage yourself as well. I've actually kind of spec'd a little bit towards actually being a little bit of a DPS for this build. Definitely not probably as much as some of the PC healers and stuff can pull, but you know, I'm doing almost a 10th of the overall like DPS contribution at the moment. So I've gone over my character sheet. Steed Mundus, do it Sugar Skulls. Skills I am using on my front bar. Extended Ritual. I like the longer version of this to drop it underneath the tank or put it in the group. The DPS can synergize the ritual when it's out there to cleanse themselves, as well as to activate their locustes. Also, yeah, use it obviously as a cleanse for myself and the tank whenever either of us are defiled from the cone, or have got the bleed from Felm's jumps on us. Always like cleanse each other. Pop the ritual down for Alkosh for him as well. Breath of Life, great burst heal, heals another person. Radiating Regen, I like to try to spam this when I'm on the sides near the DPS, try to get it on them for a bit of a heal. Obviously for me in the tank as well. Just, you know, easy to use, don't have to aim it, just kind of keep it up. Power of the Light, so yeah, Minor Fracture and Minor Breach is why we're using this one. Pretty much try to keep this up on cooldown. Self-explanatory, really. Structured Entropy, so this is one of the first dots, one of our dots for Zen that we need to keep up. So I chose this skill as it has a decent length duration. I chose this morph over degen because I'm using spell power pots, so I don't need the major sorcery from that skill. And actually, like, I tried using tripods, and like, I'm a Breton on this toon. I tried using tripods, and I just found I just had too much stamina. Like, it's completely up to your playstyle, like how you play, whether you need more stam or not, but I don't use a lot of stamina at all. I've practiced it enough that I'm quite conservative with it. Like, I don't roll dodge a lot. In fact, if I roll dodge a lot of the time, like half the time, it's probably just to get my stam a bit lower for martial knowledge, or I might be just avoiding a steam breath from Olms, or, you know, might be avoiding ticks of an enraged Felm's jump, but that's pretty much the only times I roll dodge. So yeah, I didn't go with tripods. So because I'm using spell power pots, I went with Structured Entropy to basically give myself an extra heal, because why not? Temporal Guard, I slot on my front bar basically just for the minor protection. Also when I block, it gives me a shield. So, I don't actually have a shield. This build does not have a shield. this was a bit scary for me at first to get used to. But yeah, now I'm pretty consistently, very rarely dying. So it's literally just about practicing. You've got to know where your damage sources are coming from, how to mitigate them and cleanse them like effectively, like how to avoid them, all that kind of stuff. So if you've been front kiting for a while, chances are you know most of that already. And if you've got enough health and enough resistance, yeah, like it's not too difficult. Like even, you know, without a shield and stuff, like I can survive the minis and rage for a little while. It's not too bad. So yeah, I slot that temporal guard there for the minor protection for that Psijic shield. You also do get minor protection when you throw shards. It only lasts 6 seconds though, so I do like to, I don't know, I just like to have that guarantee that it's like always there, especially like when I'm on my front bar and I'm trying to heal people. If I spend a extended period of time or whatever there, I just like the guarantee that it's always there on that bar. I'm on my back bar, likely I'm chucking shards anyway, so and just that shield, like when I roll dodge, it'll activate as well, so that's the reason for slotting that there. It's purely you know, selfish need there. So on my back bar I use Flame Reach as one of the dots for Zens, so it being a weapon skill of the Destro Staff skill line, it has a chance to proc the enchantment, which is a poison enchantment on that bar, as well as I'm actually using a Flame Staff over the typical lightning staff that healers would like typically run, but because I'm not using blockade or Ellie Drain, like I don't need Ellie Drain because it's a stam DPS group and I don't really have bar space for blockade with other skills that I needed to run, so I'm keeping up that back bar enchantment with basically just light attacks and through Flame Reach. So yeah, I went the Inferno staff just because it does more damage really, and using a Flame Staff has more chance to proc burning really from that Flame Reach, I guess, which is, as I was explaining before, another dot for Zen. So that's the reason behind the Inferno staff. And then Shards, I like to drop these on the tank, gives them a really consistent synergy there for proccing Alkosh and also resource return for them. Scalding Rune is my third dot that I chose to use to proc Zen. I chose this skill because of its really long duration, so it lasts roughly, I know it says 36 seconds there, like the rune itself lasts for 36 seconds, but actually, like, when you trigger it, as you see down the bottom, it lasts 14 seconds. So the dot is like, yeah, 14 seconds long. So it's a nice long dot. It's also, like, they're both Mage's Guild skills, so Entropy and Scolding Rune, both Mage's Guild skills, so I just slotted one on each bar to get Mage's Guild passive on each bar. I don't know, just a thing I decided to do, so I, yeah, got that max mag and recov on both bars. It's also quite nice, actually, like, you can chuck it down, before the previous dot has actually finished, and it won't trigger until the dot from the previous cast of Scalding Rune is actually run out. Like, this is just a really nice set and forget type skill. Like, it doesn't require a lot of management to keep up. Like, it's quite handy in it because it lasts so long. Yeah, I like it anyway. So I'm also using Shadow Silk. As the DPS are all stamina, all using Locustes. These guys need synergies. They need synergies, like, you know, on cooldown, to keep up the buff on that set, to pump out as much damage as possible. So yeah, I use spiders try to keep that up like once per rotation. You have to be a minimum of 12 meters away from the target, I believe, and as stamina DPS in our raid are all running bow setups, their snipes and stuff all hit harder the further away they are from the target. So the distance plus, yeah, this skill enables that to be used and gives them a good synergy pretty regularly for their Locusties. Kept one survivability type skill, I guess, for myself, which is Channeled Focus. That gives me my major resistances as well as the regen from that. At some point I would consider dropping this skill for Blockade, which I would like to look at doing in the future, just to keep a more consistent uptime of that enchant on the back bar, and also just to help proc concussion. Like, I'd probably swap back to a lightning staff just for that extra blockade, the extra concussion and chance to proc off balance. So that's something that, yeah, you could consider like changing for yourself, definitely, if your survivability is really good. But yeah, our main tank is actually a Warden in this prog, so he uses Expansive Frostcloak, so I actually get the major resistances from him already. So at the moment, it's mostly more of a safety blanket for myself and a bit of extra regen, but when I get a bit more comfortable, I'll very possibly consider dropping this out for Blockade. And then yeah, Warhorn is the only ultimate that I use for the group. I blow that between Felms jumps pretty much, and when you know the main boss isn't about to do his big jumps at 90, 75, 50 or 25. As long as Felms isn't about to jump on me, and I've got my ulti, I'll run out the front and blow it for the group. So that's it for my skills and what I'm using. Champion points. So 81 Ironclad, 72 Spell, 23 Thick, 19 Hardy, 56 Early Defender, 19 Quick Recovery, 31 Sprinter, 23 Mooncalf, 64 Arcanist, 64 Tenacity, 44 Tumbling, 44 Shadow Ward. And my blue CP is a little bit different to what someone that's like speccing for full healer might do, so I've dropped a little bit of points out of Blessed and actually stacked them more into damage, seeing as I'm really only healing like myself and the tank and some of the DPS on the side, and I can still, even with this CP, I can still Breath of Life a tank to full. You know, like if they've been defiled, I've got to go cleanse them to be able to heal them, but any other situation, you know, like a few more like extra percent in Bless like really isn't gonna help you do your job any better, really. So yeah, so what I've done is, as like a lot of my damage is damage over time due to the dots for Zen, put like 56 points into Thaumaturge, chucked a couple into Staff Expert because I'm light attacking a lot, Master at Arms due to the direct damage from light attacks, first hit of Shards, the initial hit of Clench, initial hit of Spiders. I believe a lot of the initial hits of those dots are also classified as like direct damage, like from Master at Arms. So, and then like the subsequent ticks are all buffed by Thaumaturge. So yeah, that's what I've done there. Roughly 20 points into Spell Erosion to make sure I'm roughly at cap. 43 Early Expert, 61 Elfborn, 49 Blessed. In the future I might consider dropping even more points out of Blessed and speccing more heavily into damage, At the moment, just happy still playing it a little bit safe by keeping some points in there, so yeah, so I've actually tested I guess like a bit of like my roto or whatever, or keeping all of my buffs up on like on the Iron Atro just to see actually what kind of damage I'm doing. Just under 20k damage per second. So it doesn't kind of sound like much, it kind of sounds puny or whatever, but over, like, we're clearing vAS hard mode in, I don't know, at the moment, like an average of like, you know, anywhere between 7 to 9 minutes depending on, you know, whatever happens. Like, we are still progging when we get to the point of being able to do it like cleanly with no deaths for IR. Like, definitely it's gonna be a lot faster. So like an average of, I don't know, just, yeah, for the sake of just giving an example, right now, if we did an 8-minute run, my 20k DPS per second is like roughly around 8 million damage. So that's like just under a tenth of like Olm's health. He's got, you know, 99 million HP, I believe. So like, it's, yeah, so roughly around 8 million, you know, and that's like me testing that in like a perfect situation, I guess. So, you know, be a little bit less in a real situation, though I do think I keep a fairly decent uptime of all my dots and stuff, so it shouldn't be too much less, but, you know, that's still a decent little chunk, you know. Like, think about, you know, how many times you wiped it, you know, 5% or below, you know, that little bit of extra DPS could be what helps you push that boss to jump before a protector, he gets protected by a protector to save time. Every little bit sort of adds up, so, I don't, in this situation, think that, like, you know, a healer's damage output is, like, negligible or whatever, I think. And I know it can be higher, like, I'm pretty sure Styles is doing, like, 36 or 40k or something on her front kiter, but she's also using a Maelstrom Destro, and, she's also using Blockade and her CP and her build. Yeah, her CP, she runs no points into Bless, like, everything's, it's pretty much a DD blue CP, and she also runs 2k more max mag and 2k less health than me. So I'm just a little bit tankier, a little bit safer version of that. And yeah, don't quite do as much damage, but it's still pretty good for what it is, and for where, yeah, my group is at the moment, progging stam IR. So on my channel you can find some videos that show this build in action. Yeah, I hope you check them out. Happy to answer any questions. Send me a message, ask a question in the comments, and I would be happy to help you. Thanks for coming to check this out, and peace.